seismic event. Now, let the party begin.
Your healthy radio addiction starts now.
Hollywood's Motorcycle Madhouse on iHeartRadio.
What's up, everyone? It's Monday, and it's sucking over here in northern Illinois. We got about 8 inches of snow yesterday, and it's supposed to be Antarctica here the rest of the week. I'm talking negative 51. Now, I'm a guy who loves 4 seasons, but this is getting ridiculous. I'm starting to think about moving down south with all this crap. This is nuts. You know, if I wanted to live in Antarctica, I'd just jump on a freaking plane and go down there. Not now. Holy cow, but the weather sucks. So you guys out east know that you got the polar vortex coming your way. But let's start out today. Just a couple of announcements. In your top right hand corner, the Motorcycle Awareness Look Twice and Save a Life ride. That is in the works right now. It's going to be a big ride. It's going to be starting out from Beloit, Wisconsin and going all the way up to Wolverine, Michigan. And we're going to have stops along the way. It's something that we're planning with the state of Michigan abate, and it's going to be something else. So if you want to do a old-fashioned hardcore ride, let me know. We're getting the stops planned right now. If you want to help get involved, would really appreciate it. And guess what? There's going to be an old-fashioned party at the end of this ride. So also, let's get into the chat room real quick. Hey, how you doing, everybody? Ant, Carlos, Dominic, Double D, Ironhead, Ant. Glad to see y'all guys here. One more announcement. We now have a Patreon club. It's like that Crowder Mug Club stuff. It helps support the show, help us keep going, and getting us out there doing all kinds of cool stuff, upgrading equipment, going on location, because that stuff gets expensive. But if you wanted to join our Patreon club, it's only like $2 to start out. It's $5 for a membership each month. So you just check out the link below in the description box, and you hit Michigan, Hollywood, let me know. Yeah, Ironhead, we will be going all the way up and down Michigan with this ride. So I hope to see you. If you want to plan a stop for us, would much appreciated. We're hoping to get at least 50-60 bikes throughout the route going up there, having a good old time, man, you know, just like it was in the old days. But today we got a couple things going on right now. Some bad stuff just happened as far as this police profiling stuff. Later on, you're going to hear from Popeye and OG from Texas Biker Radio about what happened. And OG really explains everything down to a T with what happened. I'll read a couple posts from people that were actually there, and it's something else what happened there. For those idiots out there who really don't think that police don't profile bikers, you might want to listen to this freaking video because you're ignorant. You know, I was actually talking to somebody this morning, and it seems like it's going back to the old days when being a biker wasn't quite cool, man. So you New Jacks are about to learn what it is to be police profiled and all that good stuff. And yeah, they're out there for you, man. But you guys take a look at Texas Biker Radio's YouTube channel. They just got going. These guys, Popeye and OG, they're out there all the time helping the biker community. They are at the forefront of motorcycle profiling, and they were at the forefront of the Waco stuff. So go over there and give them a like. Subscribe to their channel, because them guys are really kicking butt over there, and they need your support. You know, it's creators that are out there that are putting their all into it for free that are the ones you want to go over there and support and subscribe. And Texas Biker Radio is that channel on YouTube. And also, they got a weekly radio program. I believe it's on Tuesdays. Don't quote me, but it's Texas Biker Radio. You can actually follow them through our link over there on HarleyLiberty.com. What's up, Sinister? Hey, man, you got to run the Chicago stop for this ride, man. I'll talk to you later about it all. But let's get going. First, before we get into that profiling stuff, not good news for Harley-Davidson coming out, man. They just conducted a study of millennial bikers, and it ain't good. Let me read this article real quick. Younger buyers and older buyers have different reasons for buying motorcycles. Duh, we knew that. Older buyers seem to buy bikes for hobby or rec. Okay, yeah. Younger buyers are more interested in ease of transportation. So those were the three main subjects of this, what's it called? Study, they called it. Which they go on to say this has profound implications for struggling companies such as Harley-Davidson. This came out of the Motley Fool. The supposed millennial his killing industry gets thrown around a lot, but it could really be happening to an American icon, Harley-Davidson. Data suggests a considerable generational divide in attitudes towards heavyweight motorcycles. In the last video, we talked about that, about in the last Harley-Davidson video, about how the generational gap, the way they view motorcycles, the way they view, you know, the bigger CC motorcycles, it's coming out in this study. The sort of bikes sold by brands such as Harley and Polaris Indian brand, which Indian, they're really coming up, you know. They don't got much to worry about right now. That was by an analyst. Turns out younger people consider buying motorcycles because they want transportation for ease, less money, blah, blah, blah. The survey found the most significant finding, 21 to 34-year-olds consider buying a bike for ease of trans. And the older bikers, of course, the hobby stuff like that. So Harley's got a lot to freaking work on here, you think? But let's go into this USARG, the main topic of the video today. The 2019 Anti-Profiling Conference was canceled by profiling. Now, this was a post off of one that attended. And it goes on to say USARG Inc., a nonprofit corp dedicated to combating prejudice and profiling against motorcyclists, has itself become a victim of profiling. As a result, USARG regretfully has been left with no choice but to cancel its 2019 annual anti-profiling conference. It's an annual. USARG executed a contract with Tuscany Casino. Now, this is a casino for the necessary hotel and convention accommodations for the conference, despite accepting approximately 178 paid room reservations, and despite assurances from Tuscany that it was friendly to motorcycle enthusiasts and clubs. Tuscany abruptly and without explanation went back on its word and canceled its contract with USARG late in the evening on the 24th of this month. People who arrived after this cancellation to check in were turned away. People who had already checked in prior to the cancellation were awakened and evicted from their rooms by Tuscany Security Officers with a militaristic presence of Las Vegas Metropolitan police officers. Tuscany took these actions in the absence of any cause on the part of USARG and conference attendees. The cancellation coincided with a memo from the Las Vegas PD purporting to alert hotel security around the valley to arrival of the attendees of the anti-profiling conference. Yeah. Okay, for all those out there that are talking, hey, cops won't mess with you if you're not doing anything wrong, suck it up, buttercups. This is the real deal. This is the real freaking way cops are. It goes on to say Tuscany exhibited blatant disregard for the safety of its guests by failing to honor its contractual word, failing to stand up for its law-abiding customers, and leaving paid guests, including men, women and children stranded in the streets to fend for themselves during one of the busiest convention weekends of the year. Guests were given no options for alternative lodging. Ironically, Tuscany's conduct in canceling the contract and going back on its promise is an example of the very sort of conduct the conference was created to combat. USARG regrets any inconvenience suffered by conference attendees and their families. USARG is moving forward with legal action to hold Tuscany and those that encourage, aided, and abetted Tuscany fully responsible for the harms and losses they cause. Now, there's going to be a phone number in the description box. The Tuscany Hotel, 702-893-8933. Let them know what you think. Now, that will be in the description box. If you truly believe in anti-profiling, you want to do something for the biker lifestyle, you want to fight back, instead of being on the internet crying about stuff happening, you actually want to do something, get on the phone with Tuscany and give them hell. Get on Facebook, get on their Facebook profile, give all them bad reviews, because what they did to these people plainly sucks. Okay? It sucks. So let's listen to Popeye and OG again from Texas Biker Radio in a video they just put out. Again, go over to their YouTube channel, subscribe, give them some support, because these guys are always out there busting their ass, and they need people to support them too, because they're supporting everybody else, so get over there and support them. So let's go take a look at this video real quick with Popeye and OG.
In Las Vegas is a travesty. It's a violation of one's First Amendment rights. And let me tell you, they are coming for you. They are coming for you if you're on two wheels, if you are a member of a club, and any particular clubs that they feel like they don't want in their town. Now, we've talked about this again and again and again. Mel, you want to explain what went on?
Yeah, it's real. It is real. We keep telling everyone out there they're going to come for you, and man, they are starting to come. Here's the deal. USARG Inc. set up an anti-profiling conference in Las Vegas, entered into a contract with the Tuscany Hotel, which they accepted, and it was for over 170, 180 rooms. They accepted the contract, accepted money. People started coming into Vegas, some early on January 24th, pursuant, or I should say not pursuant to, but in coincidence, right, my mind, in coincidence to a memo put out by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department alerting the security officers in all the hotels in Las Vegas that there was an anti-police profiling conference going on in Las Vegas, and they needed to be aware because apparently there were some nefarious people showing up.
And the key word right there on that memo is anti-police.
Correct. Now, this was a significant memo to send out to these police departments because some of these hotels have a few thousand security officers.
Right.
They are like separate cities. The Tuscany Hotel, in coincidence and coinciding with the memo, notified USARG Inc. on January 24th that the contract was now null and void and they would not honor it. Unfortunately, the word doesn't get out in time. You got people flying into Vegas. They show up to check into their hotel room. Now, there are major conventions going on in Las Vegas right now. When there are major conventions going on, because it's not only a gambling mecca, it is a convention center for the United States. you can't get rooms. So you got people showing up with their wives and children, being refused a room. Now, get this, on top of that, you got a few folks, I shouldn't say a few, a number of folks that came in early, had already checked in prior to the ban, were in their rooms with their wives and kids, resting. Security shows up door with Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in tow, and we can only imagine it was SWAT. We know anytime they have an excuse to break out the terrorism gear, they're going to do it.
Oh yes.
They were probably in their maps downstairs and
terrorizing wives and children and everybody
showed up with all their assault rifles, the whole bit, knocking on the doors, telling people, you got to get out now. They evicted them. They evicted people for showing up to attend an anti-profiling conference. If that is not a blatant violation of one's constitutional rights to meet and discuss anything political.
Meet peacefully.
Yeah, this was, I mean, they're there with their wife and kids to talk about this because it's as you know, we're on a nationwide push to try and stop this profiling nonsense. I can only hope that individuals and USARG Inc. will flood that hotel with lawsuits up the ass.
Yes. We need you lawyers to get on it. Look, anytime they put the word anti-police out there like that in the very first part of the statement, not anti.
And there you go from Popeye and OG. I'm going to open up the phone lines. You guys let me know what you guys think. You can call in now at 847-957-1656. Again, everybody out there is, pissed off and stuff like that. I just put the number in the chat room. You guys are going to want to call, because this ain't just dealing with clubs, this conference. This was just regular independents like yourselves out there dealing with this. They got kicked out of the rooms by security because the Las Vegas police thought it was funny. Okay? But that's the way cops operate. And one thing that always, bugs me in the biker world is you got a lot of people that don't understand. There's a big divide between cops and bikers. There was always that line that was down the middle. You never crossed it. And now you're starting to see what a lot of the guys in the 70s and the 80s had to deal with. Before long, you New Jacks are going to find out what it's like to be thrown onto the freaking ground, face in the mud, because now you got an environment where you got police support at an all-time freaking high, and the real freaking story behind everything is they think they're God. They think they can do whatever they want. They think they can run over your rights. They think they can freaking... Everybody sees it all the time. But you'll go out there and support them. But, some of those dumbasses think a patch vest or jacket is going to start trouble. That from L. Smith in the chat room. Thanks to all that let me know. Here we go. You're on air.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
I heard about the situation in Las Vegas. I think Las Vegas was the worst place to have the conference anyway, because Las Vegas have a reputation for doing exactly what they've done. They book people for events and affairs, and at the last minute something come up where they can make more money, and they just kick people out. They sell the rooms. When people come, they don't have no hotel room. They say they don't have no reference numbers, and people stuck out in the street. So they know for doing that, and then to put on the fact anti-police, to give the police the support to come in to have an excuse. But somebody needs to be held accountable for that and reimburse those people for expenses.
Well, what do you think about how the Leo, well, they're called Leo in our world, but how do you think How does cops get away with this stuff, and how does people support this kind of shit?
Because the cops and the crooks is all working together. The system is working together with the cops.
Right.
They working hand in hand, even down to the postman and the cops. The scepter drivers and all. They're all working together.
Well, you know,
it's a team effort. So they use the cops to help get rid of the people out the hotel because they know they couldn't do it just on their own.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but the biker lifestyle's always been about rebellion. And it's always been about they're on one side, we're on another. And now you have a lot of new jacks that actually go out there and support them. I call them pole suckers. You got a bunch of clubs out there that actually let them in their clubs. And this is the kind of stuff that's happening to all the other bikers.
Yeah, that's because they really don't understand the biker lifestyle. And it became a fad in the last 20, 25 years. You got people riding around with cuts, driving trucks, the truck club, and everybody, you don't know if it's a bike or if it's a truck club, a van club, car club, whatever. Everybody just done went crazy with wearing cuts and acting like bikers, and they not bikers. And they really don't care to be a part of the real scene because they don't want to take the time and the effort to learn and understand and respect the situation for where it comes from.
Right, exactly. You know what, your point on right there, because, you know, since SOA, that Mayans, and all that other bullshit stores has come out, it's got pretty bad, let me tell you. We've got some people out there that you never think that'll wear a patch, and they're out there prancing around.
Yeah, they go to sleep at night and wake up, all of a sudden they're a club. People walking around with different things on their back, and then they expect somebody that's in the club to respect them like it's really important.
Man.
Or it really means something, you know, and they had no idea.
Uh-huh. Now, you know what? Now, this might piss a lot of people off, but down in actually Sinister just sent it to me. So, Sinister, if you want to call in, I got to get your freaking viewpoint on this, but there's a bunch of Houston police officers just shot today. People are wondering why, you know?
Well, people retaliating.
Right, exactly.
People retaliating. That's what it is. A lot of dirty cops out there. There's a lot of cops doing things underhand. It's a lot of not only cops, but people that have certain jobs and positions that's doing things to people and using their job as a way to get away with it. And when the opportunity comes, people do what they got to do.
Rock on. Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. I really do. And you know what? You made some good points there, man.
All right. Nice talking to you.
Rock and roll, man. We had somebody from Minnesota try calling in. You guys can go ahead and call in. We got it. What do we get in here? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm getting all those sent to me. I know about the Houston cops being shot, and I'm not trying to be a dick about it. You're on air.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up?
Hey, I got a question. So, when did everything go from protecting and serving to law enforcement?
What you mean?
And when you talk about the bike, well, I mean that I'm trying to say I'm a former police officer.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And yeah. No, I actually interviewed with you on your radio show.
Oh, okay.
We talked about profiling. I don't know if you remember that or not.
You know what? I think I do. And you know what? I'm glad you actually called in. You're a former police officer. What do you think about was just pulled in Las Vegas? Now, this is outrageous for a memo to be sent out while everybody's there in Vegas. They agreed to the contract. There was no problems there. And actually, half of this conference wasn't even about clubs. It was about police profiling itself.
Well, the fact is okay, now, first of all, I want to say that when I was a former police officer, when I went into the police world, I was in my 30s already. I was a prior military, and I went in with the protect and serve notion. And so there's a difference between protecting and serving, because the fact is there's people that call 911 when there's emergencies. There's people, I was protecting people's property and going when they had a burglar alarm. I would go and look at their property, but the mindset was to protect and serve. Now, when I saw how the politics and everything were, and how they were really pushing for law enforcement, which is a big difference, in my opinion, between protecting and serving. But when I seen that they were really pushing law enforcement, and I saw all the incompetence that there was in the police world and the lack of discretion, that's when I got out of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you know what? I'm starting to remember a little bit. Weren't you the one that said that in the academy or something like that, they specifically addressed outlaw bikers?
Yeah, well, they talked about motorcycle clubs, and yeah, there was a spot in the academy, so I had to get a 2-year associate's degree, and then after that, we go to the police academy, and they teach you the skills, the use of force, the statutes that are in your state. And yeah, they had a slot, mapped out specifically to talk about motorcycle clubs. And they did in fact say these are criminal organizations, they're gangs, they insisted to call them clubs, but they are in fact gangs, and they use their clubs to mask their criminal activity. And you got to watch it. And then they talked about how dangerous they were, how deceptive that they were, how, these club members, and they had all the big clubs represented there. They had vests, they had pictures. They even went as far as to say that a lot of these motorcycle ministries weren't ministries at all. They were just specifically, using that as a front to cover their criminal activity. Mm-hmm. So, here's the thing. We've got corrupt lawmakers that are making laws that are absolutely ridiculous. Too many laws on the books. Now you've also got these people. See, I grew up, I was born in 77. I grew up kind of in the 80s when they were pushing, Reagan was on TV and the DARE thing was going on. And I never had anybody to really teach me how to decipher through all this polarization that's in politics. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of stuff that I had to map out. So a lot of what I think that we're seeing in the law enforcement world is due to propaganda that these people have been fed since they've been old enough to understand some of this information.
Now, you know what? I'm glad you bring that up, and I'm not advocating for anybody to go out there, hurt a cop or anything like that, but you kind of can, relate to some of the stuff that's going on out there with cops because people are fed up. They're tired of it.
Yeah, I've seen how some of these guys acted behind the scenes. And, I was in a situation where I could have killed a guy, in the line of duty, and worded my way out of it because of the way they teach use of force. A lot of it is if you can reasonably say that you're in fear of death and great bodily harm, even if it's later discovered that person doesn't have a weapon, you won't be charged in a lot of cases. And when I started looking at the dangers involved, not necessarily between my interactions with the public, but the dangers that were being imposed on me by the people that I worked with, I couldn't get out fast enough. Mm-hmm.
Now, because it wasn't about I'm glad you got out of it.
It was about law enforcement.
Well, I'm glad you got out of it and stuff like that. But looking back, now you often hear the term blue gang. And a lot of us old timers really believe in that term. And one of the things that we don't understand, well, us older guys, I'm just a young pup compared to some of these graybeards out there, can't understand, is clubs that actually let Leo into their clubs. Because Leo is only they're only loyal to one thing, and that's those blue boys. Now, even if they're in your club, they're loyal to that badge. Am I right or wrong?
I would say that they're going to be faithful to that badge. And since I got out of the police world, I just want to throw out there, I've been arrested a few times, and I was on felony probation for 5 years.
No, I'm just saying, because you used to be a cop, but I'm getting your point of view.
They treated me differently. They treated me just as harsh, if not worse, when they found out that I was a former police officer, because they were pushing this badge. And what I mean by the badge is this us versus them mentality. You see, it's us versus them, and that's the wrong mindset that a public servant, emergency medical, guy should be doing. He should be looking at how he can help the community, not how he can go out here and target all these people. But again, you've got all these laws that are so bountiful that almost everybody's a criminal. You don't even have to. You can breathe and be a criminal.
Right, exactly. Now, because a lot of people, they'll say, "Hey, Hollywood man, you support firefighter clubs, you support firefighters like there ain't no tomorrow." But when it comes to Leo, man, you want to take a shit on them. And there's a huge difference to me between firefighters and Leos. Okay, it's just not because Leos can freaking throw you in jail or any of that stuff. It's because of their attitudes. That is the biggest thing when it comes to Leos for me.
Yeah, and you know, you don't want to overgeneralize because, of course, bad news spreads a lot quicker than good news. And there were guys that I worked with that were straight up guys. I mean, you know, they if you had something going on, you wanted them to show up because they had a good head on their shoulders and they weren't trying to throw somebody in you know, cuffs. So, you know, we got to be careful not to overgeneralize. It's like saying, you know, all. You know, because there are some scumbag bikers out there, no doubt about it. You know, I ride a motorcycle, and I've interacted with guys, and not all of them are straight up. But to overgeneralize and say all bikers are scum is just as ridiculous as saying all cops are dirty.
And this is, and that's the attitude that Las Vegas took towards this conference: is all bikers are bad, and they had kids there.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's a shame to see, and you know, I think that. In a sense, you know, it's the militarization of the police. You know, the military is like the global police, right? If there's crimes being committed to humanity, then the world police or the military goes in there and they police everybody else, right? So to me, the military is just police on a global scale where, you know, the blues are just police on a local scale. But it goes back to incompetence, man, and tyranny, you know? And I've heard people say once a cop, always a cop. That's dangerous thinking. You're going to limit yourself, you know, and you want to be able to think outside the box that they've tried to keep us in.
Right. You know, one thing, another question that I always get from people is why? Why is your attitude the way it is towards Leo? And it's just not the attitude that I brought up in the beginning, but in Chicago now, growing up and stuff like that, it's a different type of neighborhood. Shit, even some of our chat room people, if they're in here, would know what I'm talking about, Sinister and stuff. But growing up in the neighborhood, you would see stuff that these cops were doing. They go out there and extort you worse than a loan shark would if you were, you know, because I was in the, you know, the gang scene early on and stuff like that. And I got a real early start with some other type of people. And you would actually see them walk up and grab the money. And you would actually, it was terrible in Chicago. It still is. That's why it's the way it is right now. But
now, let me say one thing, and it has to do with what you're talking about. And that's what I've heard you say in the past about what kind of person wants to become a police officer. Did they get bullied? Did they get picked on? And I want to say why, if I may, give me the privilege of saying why I chose to go into that field.
No, go ahead, man. You're on with me now, man. We're just going, me and you right now.
All right. So, you know, I grew up poor. You know, my mom's been married 5 times, and I grew up, I was sexually abused viciously as a child. And I had a lot of traumatic events in the early ages of my life. You know, I went to the military when I was 17, and then later I found out I had post-traumatic stress, not from the military, but from all the abuse that I saw growing up. So I was never in one location where I could see the corruption that other people talk about they saw when they were younger. I just thought, okay, I'm highly motivated, I'm highly driven, and I like to help people who need help. So what can I do? Boom, firefighter, okay, I'm doing it. Boom, military, I'm doing it. Boom, police, I'm doing it. And at the core was this identity that I wanted to be there for somebody that was going through the stuff that I was going through as a kid. I wanted to be that individual that was there, that if they were hurting and they needed help, that I could have the training, I could have the tools and the equipment, and I could go there and I could assist them. And it all come. So in a sense that I go into it because I was bullied, I guess in one way I did, but it wasn't so that I could become the bully. It's so that I could stand and use all the scars and everything that I had accumulated through all my life and use them as medicine to help somebody when they're fucking laid out on the highway or something, you know what I mean? Or they're getting the shit kicked out of them by their drunk, you know, husband or boyfriend. And I've been to those places, you know, not only as a, you know, a public servant like that, but as a kid growing up. And so it was to go in to help. That's why I went into it.
Okay. Now, you just brought up the why you went into becoming a Leo, and I'm sure a lot of other officers share your feelings about why they went in to serve people and all that stuff. My question is, what happened? What changes their mind when they actually get that badge and they think, okay, instead of serving people, they want to act like God?
Yeah, I can't answer for them. That never happened to me. But I know that just like any, in the military, they tear you down. Well, I saw it. Well, I didn't see people change. What I saw in the police academy, which was most telling, because a lot of the people, 80% of them were younger than me, because I was quite a bit older when I went in. And so, I don't know, they had this, like this idea that they wanted to go out and police up all these bad people. There was this idea of bad, good versus bad, and they wanted to be on the side of good. So a lot of them went in and they kind of had a flippant attitude about the use of force and all these other things. They didn't really understand that these were people's lives that they were affecting, whether it was writing a ticket or arresting.
Let me stop there. What was their thinking, reasoning? What do they define as good versus bad?
Whatever they're told.
So they don't think for themselves. They just get it from some staff sergeant or a lieutenant.
Yeah, they get it from the schools. They get it from the colleges. They get it from the media. They get it from their brainwashed parents. They're getting it from, nobody's teaching them how to think for themselves. And this is a problem. This is a product of, these people that we're seeing. These people are a direct result of how society has been raising up these young people, and they can't think for themselves.
Okay, now another question I have for you. It's me and your show right now, man. But you look at a guy like Sonny Barger. Would you consider him a good guy, or a bad guy?
I don't know enough about him. I don't pay attention too much to what the news says, because I know to paint people the way they want to be portrayed, and especially if you're anti-conformist, so you're not bending to the social norms that society is trying to put upon us. In that sense, he is a bad guy. Well, if that's the case, then I'm a bad guy too, because I agree with that kind of living. Mm-hmm. What he has done as a person, I can't say one way or another.
Right. Now, the only reason I bring that up is because you just see the early '60s footage where cops intentionally were pulling over the bikers, ticketed them, and they put this aura on them that I think has lasted through law enforcement till this day. Yeah,
absolutely has. But this is a type of tyrannical government. Right. And I think that there is a difference between law enforcement and people who are trying to protect and serve the community in which they live.
Mm. Now, you're saying protect and serve the community in which we live. Now, with all that's going on, not only in the biker scene, but you see you to go to the south side of Chicago and see them getting their heads knocked in, the African Americans, the Hispanics. The neighborhood I grew up in was mostly Hispanic. I used to see it all the time, the cops coming and banging heads. How do you tell them people that the Leo are there to protect and serve? Now, I'm only asking this. I know you're not a cop anymore, but you were there, and you have an insight.
Yeah, it's hard to take the actions of a majority of these people, which are questionable. I mean, because there's a lot of ways you can de-escalate a situation besides pulling your gun out.
Stop you there. I've seen guys get the shit kicked out of them with nightsticks and thrown against the wall, for pulling over, Go ahead.
Yeah, it's bullshit. No, I agree. It's absolute bullshit. But I'm talking in cases where a police officer would have to detain someone. A lot of this footage that I've seen, that I see on the internet, I just think that the cop was a coward and didn't, know how to fight, or wasn't willing to, he had to automatically resort to lethal force, and it's out of fear. But I'm sorry, Tangent, what was the question?
Well,
what do we tell the people who are seeing that?
How do you turn? How do you turn neighborhood? Now look at Chicago. We call it Chirac here. It's a damn freaking war zone right now, and it's gotten like that over the years for a reason. The corruptions, the gangs working in hand with law enforcement. I can tell you, I've seen it. But how do you tell them people that, hey, the cops are the good guys and the gangs ain't the bad guys? Because I can tell you one thing. When I was in Melrose Park, the Italians used to run the neighborhood, and everything used to be freaking awesome. Nothing went wrong. There was no crime, no nothing. Then the damn FBI came in and ruined it all for everybody, and now it's a shithole. So how do you tell people that are actually in these neighborhoods that see, say, the Italians, or even if you move it with a biker club, when a biker club puts a clubhouse in a nasty neighborhood, that neighborhood's safe, for blocks around it. And how do you tell them people that are in that neighborhood that the bikers or the other people that are running that neighborhood are the bad guys?
You can't, because it's not true. If that's what's going on, and you can't tell them that. But what you could say is that, like other forms of government, what started out with a certain idea of protection in mind, went overbearing and is now a tyrannical force to deal with. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's you can't if that's how they're acting, if they're acting just like a regular gang, what was a gang? Wear the same colors, say the same lingo, have the same friends and enemies. Well, what is the police? Police is a gang. It's a government-controlled gang, and there's a lot of nepotism where they're hiring family member and friends who are on the same diet of government food. Mental thought food.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that always gets me is when I do get the emails, the calls, and stuff. Why you so hard on Leo? Well, it's a street thing, man. If you've been on the street, you've seen it. If not, you're ignorant to what really goes on out there.
Yeah, they're earning the attention that they're getting, no doubt about it. Another reason why I left, because I could see that I was being lumped in with all those other people. Mm-hmm. And so because I couldn't differentiate between my identity and them, I got out. Plus, I had a nervous breakdown. So
right. Well, now you said you're out. You've been arrested and stuff. You came over to our side of the tracks. Which side of the tracks do you like better?
You said which side of the tracks are better?
Yeah, what side of the tracks are better? You said, you did the Leo bit, and now, you've been arrested, and, you do your thing with the bike stuff. Yeah. What side of the tracks you like better?
Well, I started out on those sides of the tracks. I mean, I was arrested before I became a law enforcement guy, and I was actually didn't know if I'd be able to get through or not, but it somehow slipped through. I don't like being on that side, because I've never liked politics. I don't like the pissing matches that go on. It's not something I like being involved with. So I'd never go back to that. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the biker stuff goes, I mean, I'm not club hunting either. I mean,
I'm not talking about club. I'm talking about the basic premise of being a biker.
Yeah, I mean, I ride my motorcycle.
Because to the former Leo officers, you're the enemy now.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I mean, they so you need to look for an enemy, and I just hope to avoid them. That's the biggest thing. I just avoid them like the plague, man.
Right, rock on. Well, you know what, man? It's fun on our side of the fence anyway, man. We get more pussy and we get more tits and all that shit. They don't get nothing. The reason why I always say that they have to go around and wearing 3-piece patches is because they're laying in bed, their wife's looking at them like they're not, they're half a man, and they have to do something to, make up that other half so that woman of theirs will actually look at them like a man. So they got to go out there and be a club guy and, so they'd have a little bigger dick, why on the side they're taking Viagra to get it up.
There's definitely those that going for it for those reasons. No doubt about it.
Rock and roll, man. I appreciate you coming on, man. It was an awesome conversation, and, learned a little bit, and, like I said, it's, from my point of view, it's always going to be one side or the other. And there's reasons for that. And that's just because where I came from and how I was raised and where I came and what I seen. But hey, maybe one day.
So am I staying for life now? Do I have like this mark on me where I gotta keep, you know? So I don't go around telling people my business, but I have thought about that. You know, if I get around guys going to these events and stuff like that, should the subject be brought up, how do you think I would be perceived in that company?
Well, you know, if you're talking about clubs, and I'm just talking to myself now, I'm not giving advice about any other clubs and stuff like that, but where I'm from, you know, if you're a cop, you're a cop, man. If you were, you weren't. Put it this way, I wouldn't go out there and go try to make some money with you.
Yeah, well, so you said, what did you say about former cops are just as good as a cop? Once a cop, always a cop? Is that your? Well,
you got to remember, man. You could have busted on one of my friends. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Well, sure. I could see what you're saying. There. Yeah.
You know how many? Okay, put it this way: how many during your time as an Leo? How many arrests did you make?
Oh man, maybe. I think 3.
And
they were, you know,
damn, they didn't pay you good.
Yeah, 3, 4. I mean, I didn't make a lot of arrests, man, because I wasn't doing that. And all the arrests that I made, actually, I got 2 instances. One, I let a DWI go because his old lady was there to pick him up, and he'd been drinking all day because his mom was on his deathbed. And if I'd have taken him to jail, he'd have been in jail all because his mom died the next day. He wasn't bullshitting me. Mm-hmm. And another thing, there was a crime being. Some breaking and entering stuff, and I was knocking on this guy's door, and he opens the door, and he just took this huge bong rip. I watched him in the kitchen. He opens the door, and a cloud of smoke comes out. Of course, he sees me in uniform, and I can see the jugular vein pounding in his neck, you know. I didn't hassle him. I asked if he had heard anything, and I left.
Well, you know, that's a good thing.
And the arrests that I didn't make were because they were... You're
from up north. Let me put it a different way. Growing up, I actually seen a CPD bash in one of my best friends who was Hispanic just because he was Hispanic and killed him. And, you know, that kind of stays with you your whole freaking life right there. And I guess where I'm coming from is I don't understand, you know, I know the protect and serve like that, but why would anybody want to go into that field of profession to make people's lives worse? You see where I'm getting at?
Well, yeah, that's psychopaths, man.
Because they beat him just for being Mexican. And, you know, he's one of my best friends in the world.
Yeah, my chief told me, because I chased the Mexican down because he was in a bar and breaking shit up. And so I went there and I'm running the guy down, right? And I get him, and he wouldn't comply with me. And so I maced him. Now, my chief reprimanded me because he said I should have went hands-on with him, used my hands, used the baton. He wanted me to beat this guy. And he got pissed because I took the lesser form of apprehension, right? But the whole idea of apprehending another one for breaking a law, especially some of these laws, now, to me, like, it don't even make sense anymore. Mm-hmm. The way that I view politics and the world and law and everything isn't even the same. You know, individualism versus collectivism. You know, it's a great bit of philosophy to study on, but I don't even view it that way anymore, man.
Now, do you have any contacts or any friends or associates from your old days?
No, I cut ties. I cut ties with them all, man. And it, you know, a lot of it was like kind of what I experienced in the military, what I see in the military. You know, you work with guys, and then, you know, you don't work with anymore, and it's like you never existed sometimes, you know. And so,
how about one of your friends or associates? Do they still have ties to any police?
No, I don't have any ties to any police at all.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about any of your friends or associates.
No, I don't have any friends or associates.
Oh, you don't got no friends? Well,
no, not really.
Here's where I'm going at, and it's to answer your question. This is what MCs are going to do to you. They're going to see you as an ex-Leo, and for one, they're not going to believe that you got no friends or associates, okay? They'd be stupid, too, not believe that. But they're going to test every angle on you because you used to be a Leo, and that's where the doubt comes in. There's always going to be a doubt in the back of their head with the choice that you made to become a Leo. That's where I was going with those questions. And those are the simple ones.
Yeah, and that's fair, and that's a fair thing to assume. And I would hope that I wouldn't want to, matter of fact, I don't associate with anybody that's got direct ties with the government in any way, because it's kind of like the Matrix. The Matrix said anybody that's still tied into the Matrix is a potential agent.
But the fact that you used to be one, you're going to have, let's take the bigger 1%er clubs. Most of them, they'll throw a freaking PI on you or something like that, just, if you're a regular hang around a prospect. But knowing that you're ex-Leo and stuff like that, their questions are going to be all over the place. There's some clubs, they've had ex-cops in them and stuff like that, but it didn't work out too good for them.
Sure. Yeah, I'm
not saying you're a bad guy or anything. I'm just saying.
No, I know you're not. No, I understand that. And when I learned about, what was a process, because I had some friends that were in a motorcycle club, man. This was before I went to school for law enforcement and that. And so I knew about the prospect period, and I knew all that other stuff. And, these clubs are, what they're built off of veteran-based things, right? The patches and then the unity that they had. And so I would, I absolutely think that a thorough investigation into a person's background, if they were prospecting for any kind of a group, any kind of a collective group, whether it was a motorcycle club or a militia or whatever, I think we really need to vet the people, because there's a lot of people that are done now as far as, I think I got some pretty good insight, though, as far as being on that other side. Now, because I've never really trusted the government fully, part of the reason why I wanted to go was so I could learn about what they were doing and learn what they were teaching these people, so that if I got out of it, if it didn't go out, I gave myself 5 years and I lasted about 3.
Right. Well, you know what? Just,
I could have some tools.
1%er clubs ain't the only ones out there. Even 99%. There's clubs out there that might be for you, man. I just don't think the big 1%er clubs or something like that. Yeah.
The only club I ever really looked at with interest was BACA. Bikers Against Child Abuse.
Oh, they're not a motorcycle club. They're more like a riding association, but they're a hell of a freaking organization. BACA would be perfect.
Yeah, I've seen those guys at the apartment that I lived. I mean, I'd never heard of them before, and I've seen them rolled up, and they had this big presentation with the kids living in the complex, and it started doing some internet research and that. But yeah, man, I'm not looking to be a big bad anything or go after image, man. I just like riding, and because I like riding and going to events, I bump elbows with you guys and then hear these things. And so when I heard the broadcast, I thought I'd call in and just talk about some of this stuff with you.
You just said something, and I don't think you caught yourself, but you said "you guys." And that's always going to be the thing with Leos and ex-Leos is you guys. You see what I mean? You already put in, two sides of the fence right there and didn't even know.
Well, what I meant by that is like you specifically and the other guys on the internet I don't know what I don't want to say us, because I don't. This term biker seems to be kind of a touchy thing. I've heard stuff with Black Dragon and that other guy who said you got to drive so many miles to be a biker. He got into it with Big Pete and all that whole thing. But that's kind of what I meant. I didn't mean like I'm on this side now. I don't feel that I have a side. I mean, what's my race?
But you see how quick I picked up on it is how quicker a member of a club would pick up on it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. It's a hell of a situation, man. No doubt.
Rock and roll, man. Well, I appreciate you having on. It was a good conversation, and good luck to you, man. BACA is a great organization. Bikers Against Child Abuse. They do a hell of a lot of good stuff for those kids, and it's a good thing right there.
Right on, man.
Rock and roll, man. I'll talk to you later.
Take care, James.
And that was a pretty good conversation there with an ex-Leo. Thanks for that YouTube live super chat, long writer. Yeah, it's real interesting. You know, you talk to the X ones. A real cop had never come up on me. The last time a real cop tried to come on our show, it was about that Lamira stuff, and I just blew his ass out of the water, and he didn't like that shit too much. So I don't get a lot of cops on my show. I'm actually one of the most hated freaking platforms when it comes to Leos and stuff like that. Again, I had to put up a notice in our Facebook group, Bikers and Brotherhoods. Do not post shit on here that has to do with your business because they hate us, okay? They will hate you. But it was a great show today, and I really appreciate, again, all the super chats. Don't forget to go over, check out our Patreon club that helps support the show, get some good material out there, and don't forget, with the ride, we're in the planning right now. It's going to be June 7th or 8th. We're going to leave for Michigan State of Abetted grounds. Sure to be a hell of a weekend, man. Old school ride, you know, a couple 100 miles, and then we're going to party all weekend the way it should be. But until tomorrow, I will talk to you guys later. Hopefully this Antarctica stuff don't screw with our internet because it's supposed to be like -51. But go over there, subscribe to Texas Biker Radio, man. Give some Popeye and OG some love over there. They really help the biker community, and they need the support. But until then, I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good night.